Now, why am I on Twitch? That's a very good question. I have been kind of investigating Twitch for quite a while now, partly because I wanted to understand it. I wanted to understand what the problems were with it, because to me, Twitch is a whole new world that writers can begin to explore. Think about it this way. I mean, Twitch is not like TV or YouTube. YouTube and TV are very impersonal. You don't get close to people watching YouTube. I mean, I love watching, Adam from Mythbusters. He does a lot of this kind of stuff. And I love watching those shows, but I don't feel close to him. I don't feel like I know him personally because I watch those shows. There's a difference. And yet on Twitch, very casually, particularly the people who are doing it in real life, you can get very detailed information about their lives very quickly. There's one Twitch streamer that I know online that I've been following for a year or two that basically is like 10 years younger than me. So it was not as creepy to watch the young girls wandering around or the guys. I mean, none of that really interested me. But she was close to my age, and she was somebody I felt a connection with. I felt like, yeah, this is a person I wouldn't mind knowing. So I watched her stream and very casually watched it for many, many times. But recently she had an emotional problem in her life and it came out on stream, and I saw that and I reacted to it like she was a friend. I mean, it isn't a distance, and for a writer there is something you can get your teeth into. There is something that you can really there's something you can really think about and work with. I got to know her as well as I know my own sister in a lot of ways. It's kind of strange. I don't know. Yeah, oh, hi, Ty. Sorry, I didn't realize somebody followed me. But anyway, so as a writer, um, there is a cool character, a streamer. There's another character, chat. How are you going to work with those? How could you take that character and run with it? It's really interesting. I mean, it's also bizarre. I mean, I think both me and that streamer would agree it's a very weird relationship. I know her better than I know my sister. I mean, or my sister in law, I should say. Somebody who I've been interacting with for 40 years. And in a year, I get to know a streamer better. That's weird. And yet, it's there. So, how do you differentiate? I mean, where do you go with that? Where does that take us? Where does that end up being? I mean, Asmanov and Scott Card, all of these authors have been predicting things like Twitch and, remote viewing and living lives. I mean, the robot novels, one of the major things was everybody lived in their own little world and they only connected through channels like this. It's interesting. Scott Card had a segment about a streamer living their lives, and they were refusing to break out of character. They lived their lives on camera and refused to break out of character, even when it was going to become tragic. That these were predicted like 1960s, 1980s. We've known this kind of thing was going to come along eventually. There's a great character. There's got to be a story in there. I mean, a romance story, certainly. I mean, I think the problem that the streamer I'm talking about went through is she broke up with her boyfriend, a long term relationship. Uh, what What were the stresses that I can imagine for that relationship because she was a streamer? The constant attention from men online, the changing of her personality in the sense that she was working hard to look better so that she would get more attention online. All of those things probably put a lot of stress on their relationship. It's sad, but it's also real. I mean, anybody who's going through that kind of stuff is anyone who's putting themselves out there is doing something very strange, doing something very unusual. And I think I've kind of gotten lost in this. So let's see if I can get back on my track. Yeah, one of my intentions is things like this. I'm going to kind of wing it on Twitch, try to put this stuff out there effectively, and then I'm going to try to sit down, go into an editor, use YouTube as the final product. So this is going to be very rough. This is just me talking. So you could think of a romance story where the boyfriend, lover versus the streamer. You could have an evil chat. You could have a good chat. You could have the boyfriend, lover undermining the streamer, trying to break up this relationship with chat. I mean, there's a lot of good dynamics in that. Certainly trust is going to be a huge part of any kind of streamer's life. If the people in her life don't trust her, that's going to be tough. And if she has a hard time trusting, that is one of the problems a streamer is having, is trusting chat and trusting that they aren't creeping or being creepy, that they honestly care about her and it isn't a creepy thing. And in all of that, they're very clear. Oops, I lost my screen there for a second. Clear motives within these characters. I like these characters. And you could do mystery stories. You could have a detective streamer where Chad is kind of the Watson character. You could have a spy story where streaming is used as a means of communicating between spies. It is a really interesting world that I don't think, and honestly, one of the reasons I'm putting this stuff out there is I want to know if anybody has already written a story like this. Has anybody taken something like Twitch and made it the focal point of a story? It's really interesting. I mean, the fact that Twitch can give you an emotional reaction like watching a movie, to me, is fascinating. I want to know about that. I want to dig into that a little bit. So that's my story talk